Get some help, Daniel Covert. Get some help. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Get some help. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. This is the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show. We are here on a Wednesday breaking down UFC 293. We got Israel Adesanya going against Sean Strickland. And as always, we are here with Weezy, Monk, and Gordo. We will kick it to you first, Weezy. Are you looking forward to UFC 293?
Hey, man, it's the Pleasure Man Fight Week, you guys. So, yes, I'm excited. I'm excited as the ladies are that get into bed with this handsome young man. Look, this is going to be a fun card to talk about from a DraftKings perspective. I've got some bets already on this card. I think there's some interesting stylistic matchups. All the favorites won last week. So, you got to kind of look at this card and say, man, we've got to find a couple of underdogs that are going to cash tickets here and give us cheap options to get some wins in DraftKings. So I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys and seeing if we're on the same page here.
Yes, sir. And Daniel is asking, why is everybody laughing? And why is everybody laughing? Gordo, what's up? What's so funny, man?
You're a funny man. You're a great content creator.
I didn't do anything.
Funny how? Funny like a clown? Tell me exactly what makes us funny, Daniel.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, it's a fun card to look forward to. Maybe I was laughing at the fact that, Carlos Ulberg is here and he's got two things that I got none. He's good looking and good at fighting, and I'm just here talking behind a screen. So maybe I'm just laughing at that concept. We'll talk about him later. But it is an interesting card, one where we do have the pleasure man, we do have the good looks of Ulberg, and we do have ourselves some action. So I'm excited to break it down with you guys, pay-per-view nonetheless. And who knows? A week from now, Sean Strickland could be the champion of the UFC.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Probably not, but yes, sir. We got Monk.
Could be.
Last but not least, what is up? Are you looking forward to the card?
What is up? Sorry if there's a delay. I apparently have to restart my computer. I don't know what's going on, so hopefully it's not too bad. Well, we'll see. Sean Strickland, my meteor didn't strike last week. My crystals didn't hold the power they were supposed to. So if Sean wins this week, I don't know, but this might be my last week, because if the fucking pleasure man wins, I'm probably just done, to be honest. So as far as pay-per-view goes, man, a nice break would be good. Doing 10 plus hours of Photoshop every single week for 53 weeks in a row is kind of getting old. But we do have a pay-per-view, some decent fights, and maybe the main event and the co-main event will cap us off to what seems like a weak card on paper, but hopefully won't be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's shout out the chat before we get started. We got Fred Durst, my bad. Just shouting out Weezy and his favorite band, U2. Shout out U2, right, Weezy?
Oh yeah.
Man, never been one of my favorite bands ever. He's got Fred Durst in there, who's in Limp Bizkit, and then he's got Edge Bono, which is U2. So yeah, not my favorite performers, but that's all right. We're here to talk about MMA.
Yes, sir. Elijah in the building. We got Andre saying time to get this show on the road. We got Daniel Covert saying late again. SMH. I don't think we were that late. Like maybe a minute or two. We had some. We like to have a little discussion before we hop on. We got a dono, $2 dono. Iron RIP Bootsy Eagle saying what's up, fellas. Shout out to Iron Eagle for the $2 dono, and looks like Iron Eagle is a member here at Pub Sports as well. Appreciate you, Iron RIP Bootsy Eagle. And we have Joshua in the chat as well. Let's go, boys. Let's make some money. Let's do it. Pronunciation is masterful. I've been working on it for the past couple of weeks, and I think I have it down. Elijah Dream. There we go. And we got Riff Raff in the building as well. All right. I say we get into it. And as always, we're going to start with our fight to target. This is a card where there's a lot of good fights to target. We'll kick it to our Uncle Weezy first. What is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Oh, it's got to be the pleasure man versus Tyson Pedro here. This fight is going to be fun for as long as it lasts. I could see there being a lot of takedowns, reverses, and knockdowns in this fight. Tyson Pedro has a 100% finish rate as a pro, and he's scoring 106.55 points per win in a 5-win sample size. And Turkalj, he's finished all but one of his professional wins. This fight is over 71% implied, to finish inside the distance. So I'd say the winner of this fight scores very well, and the salaries are 8,200 and 8,000. So I think it's a great fight to target this week.
Yep, I like it. I'm going to have my fair share of both. I'm going to go with one that I think is going to be a lot lower owned than kind of the obvious ones. It's going to be Shane Young going against Gabriel Miranda. It's a striker versus grappler matchup where on the feet, Shane Young is going to have a significant advantage. Gabriel Miranda blocks punches with his face, gets knocked down a lot. So yeah, I think Shane Young's live for a knockout here. And Gabriel Miranda is the underdog that I definitely have my eye on at 7,600. He's a guy that in 16 wins, all of them have came under 1.5 rounds. He's a guy that's kind of a madman. He's going to go in there, get the fight down to the mat. And if he does, he's going to have some submission opportunities early. Kind of seems to fade off a little bit as the fight goes on. But yeah, I think overall it's a pretty solid fight to target there, right in that mid-range. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Both those are on my list, so I like where you guys are at here. I think there's at least 2 obvious ones left. So I'll just pick one, and I'm going to go with the aforementioned Carlos Ulberg and Da-Un Jung this week. Statistically, this fight is almost off the charts as far as optimal goes. These guys have had 9 total fights since 2021. 8 of those 9 times, either them or their opponents have made the optimal lineup. 6 finishes, 5 round 1 finishes. So yeah, definitely a fight I want to be on both sides of. Probably more Ulberg, to be completely honest, especially since he's the hometown guy. But Jung, it's hard for me with Jung, man. I picked him in a couple of fights he did not look good in, didn't look great in his last fight, and I just don't know where he's at here. He's definitely fun to watch, but man, Ulberg also fits into that category. So give me this fight as a good fight to target here. Big favorite and a very cheap underdog.
I'm sorry, I do have to correct you. You said Da-Un Jung. It's actually Da-Un Bum.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I will I'll switch that in my spreadsheet.
Thank you. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target?
Oh, man, there's a lot we haven't even talked about yet, but I feel like you'd be doing it in injustice if we didn't talk about the Tafa versus Lane fight. Heavyweight matchup, expected to end under 1.5 rounds. It's like minus 225 to end under 1.5 rounds. And you get why. I mean, Tafa on one side of things, guy with a lot of power in his hands, home crowd behind him, just a ton of let's say, explosiveness out there against a guy in Lane who has been finishing bouts before. At 9K, he's someone who does have round 1 finish potential. On the flip side of things, you do have a guy there in Lane who's going to have the let's say the height and reach advantage, some potential physicality edge here, and he himself has some finish upside. I think the winner of this one scores very, very well, as it is expected to end early. And although I do lean towards Tafa, you got to give credit to Lane's measurable advantages here.
Yep. Sloppy, making sure I was not muted. Sloppy heavyweight fight that is favored to end under 1.5 rounds is actually favored to end in the first round. I think I saw the fight won't start round 2 at minus 150. So the odds makers are certainly thinking it ends in the first round. If it does, I think it's a fight that has to be targeted there. All right, let's move on to the fight to fade. We'll start with you, Monk. Monk, what fight are you fading this week?
It's probably going to be Haqparast and Quinones, to be honest. Haqparast is at almost an unplayable salary of 9,500. I don't know what's worse, and we'll get into it. Is he at 97 or Nasrat at 95? I don't know which is worse, but it's probably Nasrat. Yeah, this guy scores next to 80 points per win, basically. I expect him to get the win. I don't mind him for cash, I guess, but you're still paying way more than you should, most likely. And Quinones isn't bad. It's just I don't think he's going to win this early on in his career in the UFC. But I think he'll show out in a couple of fights here. So I like Haqparast by decision, and for that reason and how he scores, which is next to no points at all, give me this one for an overall fight to fade for GPPs. Again, cash, I mean, that's kind of, yeah, it's just too much, man. And I would say Quinones is decent for GPPs at such a low salary, but that is the cursed salary of 6,700, about a 3.5 or 4% win rate. And we've got a guy going against an established UFC vet. So give me this one overall as a fight to fade.
Yep, don't mind that at all. Weezy, which fight are you fading for this week?
The one that I had written up was Haqparast versus Quinones, and pretty much had the exact same reasoning that Monk did. But I'll give you guys the Kevin Jousset versus Kiefer Crosby fight. Jousset, just from what I've seen on tape from him, the guy doesn't do anything, like literally nothing. He's about as low volume as I've ever seen somebody coming into the UFC kind of makes like Modestas Bukowskis look like he has a lot of urgency. That's how, but he's very precise though, and he's very long. He uses his length well, but and he will get some takedowns and stuff like that. But I could see Giuseppe just kind of like trying to stay at range and not letting Crosby into the pocket. And I could see it being kind of like a boring kickboxing match. So, that's another decent one to avoid this week.
Yeah, the more I thought about that fight, the more you look into Giuseppe, like this is a guy that's been like 25 minutes, like a couple times, and if you watch those 25-minute fights, like they're brutal, like they're just nothing happens for 25 minutes, like some of the worst fights I've ever seen. So I can certainly see this fight being very boring. Daniel saying, "Bro, it's Wednesday, but I like the delusional energy." What is delusional energy? I don't think I've ever heard that.
It's an energy that's you're delusional. Well, I mean, I don't really know. I'm not.
I don't know. I've never heard that. But maybe it's a good thing. Delusional energy, or maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. But we're bringing it. We're bringing the delusional energy tonight on Wednesday. For me, I'm going to go with the Jamie Mullarkey, John Makdessi fight. I mean, there's no way I can pay this price tag for Jamie Mullarkey, $8,900. I think he can mix in takedowns here or there, but I don't expect him to have a ton of success in terms of being able to hold down Makdessi. I don't really see a finish either side. Either do the odds makers. This fight is actually the least likely to end inside the distance. If anything, I'm probably taking a shot at Makdessi, but Makdessi, I don't think he has a ton of finishing upside. I don't think he has any takedown upside, but maybe he can win like a volume-based decision. So this is a fight that I'm pretty comfortable fading. But like I said, if anything, it's probably some shots on Makdessi, but don't feel amazing about it. Gordo, which fight are you fading for this week?
That one as well. Fade the Canadian usually works out pretty good here. No, not only in that matchup, but it's one where it is expected to go off 15. You have to think that Makdessi's style really likes to slow down this matchup here. He's not going to really allow much grappling success on either side and not go for much of his own. So if we do anticipate a 15-minute kickboxing affair, then there's nothing more to expect than a low score here as well. So I have to agree with that. It's hard to see Mullarkey scoring more in a decision than Tafa or Volkov would in a finish. For that reason, I'm fading this matchup here.
All right, right there with you. All right, let's move on to our fighter to fade. I'll kick us one off. This is a pretty easy fade for me. I mean, I'm going with Israel Adesanya at 9,700. Do I think he wins? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, this price tag, like I think there's so many better options that are much cheaper on this slate. Like I think I'd rather play somebody from the Turkalj Tyson Pedro fight than play Adesanya here. Adesanya has zero wrestling upside. He's not taking down Sean Strickland. And I know a lot of people think he finishes, and maybe he does, but I think if it does come, it's potentially late here. He's not really a high volume striker as well. Like this guy's landing like less than 4 significant strikes per minute, and he's just not a great DraftKings scorer ever. So unless he goes out there and like starches Sean Strickland in the first round, which I don't really think happens, I'm not sure how he even comes close to paying off this price tag. So super easy fade, and hopefully he's coming with some ownership as well, because I'm not even thinking about playing Adesanya this Saturday. Weezy, which fighter are you fading for this week?
I was going to give you guys Jamie Mullarkey this week. I don't like Jamie for DraftKings. Makdessi is very hard to finish, and he's excellent at keeping fights standing. Frankly, I think this fight is going to be very close. So laying minus 250 on Mullarkey and his money line in this economy is just as bad as laying down 8,900 in your DraftKings lineup to get him in there. So, I mean, I could even see Makdessi winning a decision here. So yeah, I'm staying away from Mullarkey. I faded him against Naimov, and that worked out for me. And I think that this fight's going to be close.
Gordo, which fighter are you fading for this week?
Yeah, it's hard to look past two fighters we've already mentioned, being Adesanya and Haqparast at that 9.5K, 9.7K price tag. For that reason, you get 2 for 1. I think there is more viability in the Haqparast side of things, but if we look at the way these fights are anticipated to go, neither of these guys are good historical scorers. Haqparast's a guy who has never totaled over 100 DraftKings points on DraftKings, whereas Adesanya is a guy who, even in his best knockout performances, has scored 106 and 102. The guy isn't historically a good DraftKings scorer either, is content to go out there, score 85, 75 points in a 5-round decision win. And for that reason, I see Manel, Kape, Carlos Ulberg, Radke, Tafa, all these guys going out there outscoring these two guys at the top. It's not often I say this, but these two guys are the most expensive. I don't necessarily want them in my lineups as that mid-range.
Yeah, but I don't think I have any of those guys, to be honest. So Monk, which guy are you fading this week?
Yeah, I agree. Usually I like to jump on 9,500, but that's tough for Haqparast. I already talked about him. I'll just do what I do every time Israel Adesanya fights and pick him as my fighter to fade because it pays off basically every time. He happened to be 8,300 last time, which is the only reason he made the optimal lineup. He only scored 96.49 points against Poetan there. His last 3 decisions, Cannonier, Whitaker, Vittori, he scored 85, 75, and 85. I think this one goes long. I'd like to see Sean Strickland win. Do I really think that, just like last week, I would have liked to see Sergey Spivak win. How did that go for me and everyone else who would have liked to see him win? That dude looked like a hot bag of milk in the fucking cage last week. It was, what an awful performance that was in a main event. But yeah, I don't think Sean Strickland will deliver that performance. I think he's got, not going to use the word heart, but I think he has, I don't think he's going to quit at all. So yeah, I think this one goes long, and Adesanya, outside of what an super early KO, even then, like Gordo said, KO'd Alex Pereira, even in his finished wins, he's barely scoring 100 points. So give me the fade on Izzy.
Yeah, right there with you. 9,700 is kind of ridiculous there.
Crazy.
All right. Yes, it's ridiculous. All right, let's move on to our favorite dog. So last week, I think one dog came through on DraftKings. It was Cornhole at 7,900. I think that was even my favorite dog last week as well. She lost the fight, but
yeah,
the judges gave it to her there. This week, it kind of feels like the same thing where there's not a ton of dogs that really stick out. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. We'll start with you, Gordo. Who's your favorite dog on the slate?
My favorite dog this week is not someone who's all too trustworthy, but someone who is going to bring that upside, which is what I want to see when I'm taking underdog. And I am talking about Gabriel Miranda this week, 7.6K. He's someone with a ton of upside. A guy with all 16 of his finishes have come under 1.5 rounds. He's someone who is super, super dynamic, and I do think will have the ground edge here. He is someone who I think path to victory is going to land him on the optimal. The question is, just can he finish that fight early? I think down the stretch, and actually the whole fight, he is going to be at a striking disadvantage. Luckily for us, he does like to get the takedowns. He will be the better grappler on top position as well. And I do think his path to victory scores very, very well. A risky underdog, but I do love his upside at 7.6K. It allows for a lot of us to get to that mid-range, and he is someone I'm looking to back this week.
Yep, I mean, all 16 wins coming under 1.5 rounds. He's a guy that certainly can't be ignored. Monk, who's your favorite underdog this week?
Shout out to Lou Betya. I'm picking anyone that's fighting against the pleasure man. I'm picking Tyson Pedro, most expensive. How is this dude an underdog against someone named Anton, against a Swedish racquetball player is what he looks like? How is this even possible? Pedro, yeah, sure, he's 5-4. Looked terrible against Bukauskas. That dude had a tummy ache, man. Just take it easy. Now he's fighting at home against some who names themselves this, to be completely, and if he didn't nickname himself that, what dude at his gym nicknamed him that? Because I also have follow-up questions. I'm just interested. I don't care either way. I just want to know how this happened. So yeah, I'm picking against Turkalj. Give me the most expensive dog on the card. And oh yeah, Pedro has gigantic DraftKings upside. Gordo, if you're talking about upside, here's a guy who's 90 bonus points per win on average. What is it? 90. 80.
Because he always wins the first round.
Yeah, 4 of his 5 fights, round 1 finishes. I mean, upside is tremendous here. Turkalj got done in by Almeida, and yes, I know that was on the ground. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this if Turkalj survives the first round, maybe first 7 minutes, but we have 7 minutes to put the pleasure man down where he belongs. 0-3 in the UFC. Get a new nickname so I don't have to keep talking shit about you.
Monk, what is Monk? Why hate on it? Monk is
why does everyone no, that's not the question. Why does everyone like the pleasure man? What is that? That's the question. Why does everyone like the pleasure man? Why is that? What does that have to do with fighting? What does it have to do with his fighting style? What does it have to do with anything at all?
The pleasures of the fans. I mean, it's on a show.
Muscle Hamster is 10 times the nickname Pleasure Man is. 10 times.
I think you're the only person that hates pleasure, man.
I'm the AI because I hate pleasure. Right, exactly. The pleasure man. You know what? And shout out to Pat. I didn't come up with this, but it's been a pleasure to bet against him twice in a row now. So let's keep it going, huh? Maybe that's where he got his nickname.
And Oluwajiwan brought up this one. The Pedro interview was hilarious today. They were asking him if he was going to finish the Pleasure Man on top or bottom, and Pedro was talking about how he was like scared to get pleasured or something. I mean, it was pretty fun. He was kind of dug into that nickname a little bit. Weezy, who is your favorite dog, and also your thoughts on the Pleasure Man?
So like I actually wrote up just like Gordo said, I went with Gabriel Miranda 7,600, very high upside option, but I think a sneaky option this week could be Blood Diamond. When you watch the tape on Charlie Radke, he's a very good grappler, but you don't really see him going to the offensive wrestling outside of the Montalvo fight. So I think that if Radke chooses to stay at range with Blood Diamond, that at 7,100, Blood Diamond could be a sneaky little high upside option because he is a decent kickboxer. He's got a lot of unusual attacks. We could see him landing some big shots, maybe winning some minutes. So yeah, I mean, I think Blood Diamond could be a sneaky option, but my favorite option is definitely Miranda this week at 7,600 because the guy's got a 100% finish rate. And, I think that's how you would finish Shane Young is by submission, probably. Even though Young's never been submitted, he's a very durable guy, and he's only been finished once in 7 losses. And then my thoughts on the Pleasure Man are that I'm a big fan of his. I remember his fight against Ibo Aslan in Brave, and then the fight against Konstantin Soldatov in Brave. And when I saw the walkout for the Soldatov fight where he was dancing to 9-5 by Dolly Parton, it was hilarious. And then he went in there and he knocked the dude out with a spinning back fist in 10 seconds and then kicked the door to the octagon open and ran out of the arena. It was pretty epic. And
it's pleasurable.
Yeah, it was a pleasurable performance back at Brave 49, I believe, for Anton the Pleasure Man Turkalj.
Wasn't it Brave 69?
Yeah,
sure?
they haven't gotten to Brave 69 yet. Well, I can't wait for that one.
He'll be back in Brave by the time that rolls around.
He might be, dude. He might be, because this is a tough matchup for him against Pedro. But I think it's going to be a fun fight because I think Pedro outside of round 1 is trash, and Turkalj, if there's one thing that the guy does have that's elite besides his good looks, it's his durability. This guy was getting pounded. I mean, absolutely drilled to the chin, and he was eating them like flapjacks against Petrino. The guy has got a serious chin on him, so he might be able to just like weather that early storm against Pedro, and then Pedro kind of gives up late. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting fight.
Maybe he just likes punishment. Maybe that's his pleasure. He likes getting rocked in the face.
He gets a lot of that. I'll tell you that.
He needs to meet up with Chuck Buffalo and pick out a real nickname. I tell you that much.
Wait, you don't like Chuck Buffalo either?
No. I said he needs to get with Chuck Buffalo and figure out a good nickname.
I was gonna say. All right. For me, I'm actually going to go with Tai Tuivasa, 7,400 heavyweight matchup. Tai Tuivasa, like a 91% finish rate. The majority of those come by knockout. I think he has a puncher's chance. This is a guy in Tai Tuivasa who's fighting at home. He's going to try to take off the head of Alexander Volkov. I get why Volkov is a big favorite. I think he's bigger. He's a guy that is going to have a lot more tools in the feet, a lot more volume. But at heavyweight, it only takes one, and Tai Tuivasa hits like a truck. Tai Tuivasa is on a 2-fight skid here, but he lost to Cyril Gahn in the 3rd round. Then he also lost to Sergey Pavlovich. So this is a tough opponent for sure, but it's kind of a step down. So at 7,400, I'll be willing to take my shots there. All right, let's move on to our prize picks section. And we'll start with Gordo. What is your favorite play this week for prize picks?
Let's make sure this line has not moved as I pull it up here. And honestly, it's not one where I'm loving too much on DraftKings, but what I will go towards is the under 11 minutes fight time for Shane Young and Gabriel Miranda. We did mention already Gabriel Miranda being a killer to be killed fighter, being a very violent finisher in his own right. And I do think this line is probably where we can get some decent value on it. It is expected to end inside the distance. I do have to completely agree with it. And 11 minutes, it's a weird number, but considering that volatility that Miranda brings, the home crowd behind Jung, I do think this is a matchup that could see ending early on, whether that be the dominant ground display of Miranda or the striking of Steve Jung. Oh my God, of Shane Jung taking over down the stretch. And yes, I did make the same Steve Jung mistake in my own video. I don't know what's going on this week. I don't know if he's coming back. It's the football thing. I don't know. But I do think this fight is expected to end early, and I have to agree. That's a leg I like here.
Yeah, for me, it was between two, but the one that I wrote down, it changed already. So they had Volkov's strikes at like 27. It's now like 31. So, which I still don't mind at all, but I'm going to go with Jamie Mullarkey. I'm going to take the more on takedowns. I think he's going to come in here with the game plan of taking the fight down to the mat. Makdessi is hard to take down, and he's very, very hard to hold down, but Mullarkey is going to go for takedowns. He's going to go for a lot of them, I think. Mullarkey does average 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. So I can see Mullarkey mixing in a takedown here or there, Makdessi popping back up and him getting another one. I think the more on the 1.5 is something I do like this week. And by the way, it looks like they took off one of the takedowns. They're only showing 4 here. I mean, they're only showing 3. There's 4 earlier in the day, because I wrote down the Jack Jenkins. Oh, they took off the Jack Jenkins takedowns, it looks like. But Weezy, what's your favorite prize picks play for this week?
Dude, I was actually looking at the under 1.5 takedowns from Mullarkey because of what's his name's takedown defense. He got taken down twice against Nasrat Haqparast in his last fight, but both of them came in the last minute of the fight. I think he's going to be a little bit more prepared here, but also one that I was looking at was Israel Adesanya more than 21 and a half fight time. I bet the over 4.5 rounds here. And I do think that potentially Strickland's pressure style, that he could walk onto something, but I kind of do like this fight to go the distance. So over 21 and a half minutes isn't the worst look for me. And for some reason, I think the Volkov fight time at 6.5 minutes is a little bit too low. I think that one's going to go over as well.
Yep, it certainly could for sure. And Monk, what do you like for prize picks this week?
I mean, this one just jumped out at me. In what world does Israel Adesanya score 121 points, 120 and a half DraftKings points? I don't understand that at all. 87.7 per win, and you're like, oh, well, it's 5 rounds, genius. Well, fine. 88 points is what he averages in 5-round fights per win. I think he scored 125 against Brunson. It was basically a very, very early second round KO, which he just went off. That was, towards the beginning of his UFC career. Since then, it's like I already mentioned the numbers. It's 85 points. It's 85 per win. I already mentioned how I think this goes long. And yeah, I would be shocked if he scored 120 and a half points there. So give me the under on Israel total fantasy points.
Yeah, something crazy will have to happen for Izzy to score, anywhere near that. All right, so there's the prize picks. So we'll move on to our favorite GPP play. We'll start with you, Gordo. Who are you liking this week?
Starting with me this week, we'll take someone who is Monk approved nickname. Let's take Radke here, 9.1K. He is someone who I think has some good GPP upside. He's someone who, you got a guy in Blood Diamond who has such a clear let's say, hole in his game on the ground. It's something that people can go out there exploit. I do think Radke has a decent submission game, although he's not the most proactive grappler, and he does have some decent hands. I do think at any point it gets dicey. He has the ability to take it down to the ground, and he has that upside down there to succeed on the mat and potentially get a finish in that regard. And for that reason, I do like Charlie Radke here to go out there and have some success. I think he's going to be the more physically imposing fighter. I think he has the grappling upside, and I do think he has good finish upside. Of course, it's not promised that I'll go out there and grapple at a high clip, but considering he has that in his back pocket, I do like him in GPP. I do like him more than the 9.5 and 9.7K guys, and he is someone who I'll be looking to play in large tournaments.
Yeah, I'm going to go with somebody else in the 9K range. I'm going to go with Justin Tafa here at 9,000. So, I don't think he's that great. But at heavyweight, you really don't need to be. What he does do very well is he hits very, very hard. Austen lane, horrible striking defense. The chin's very questionable. Knocked out 3 times. All 3 come in the first round. Like we mentioned earlier, this fight is heavily favored to finish under 1.5 rounds. I think it's like -230, -240, even to finish under 1.5. minus 150 to finish in the first round. So I think this is a fight that, needs to be played. And I'm more so on the Tafa side. I think it closes the distance and lands a big shot and puts Austen laying out here. So I like Tafa going to have a fair share of them. Weezy, who's your favorite GPP play for this week?
Yeah, it's the Tafa first round knockout upside that I see. Austen Lane has been knocked out in all 3 of his professional losses, and I think his striking is awful, like flat out awful. It reminds me of Virna Jandiroba. So, I mean, the fact that he's actually going, instead of this fight being in Vegas like it was the first time, now Austin's got to travel all the way to Australia to fight this man again that he poked in the eye. And now he's going to have to do it in front of his home fans, home crowd, jet lagged, all that. So, I mean, I think that Tafa at 9K, his win condition, is a first round knockout here. So I think he pays off his salary.
Yeah, it's actually wild. Their last fight was actually in Florida, which was Lane's hometown. And now they're fighting in Tafa's hometown. So, I kind of think the hometown guy probably gets it done here in very brutal fashion. Monk, who's your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, I had all those on my list. I'll give you Carlos Ulberg just very, briefly. 90, what is he, 9,200 or something like that. I think he's a decently priced favorite in this one. I'm like I said earlier, I'm a fan of Jung, but he hasn't looked good except for like Kennedy and Chukwu got that first round KO, 106 points, and then William Knight put up 111. He also took a draw to Smilin' Sam Alvey. Let us not forget that. Got smashed by Dustin Jacoby and then beat pretty, not handily, but decently. He landed 18 strikes against Devin Clark in 15 minutes. So, yeah, give me the striking of Ulberg 3 in a row over 105 points. And I think there's a chance for an early finish here. Ulberg is just getting better and better. Another Monk-approved nickname here, Black Jag, just sounds fantastic. So, yeah, give me Ulberg, 9,200, probably one of my favorite 9K guys this week, to be completely honest. I like Tafa a lot, but other than that, it starts getting a little bit I'm a little bit wary.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ulberg a lot myself. Before we move on to our favorite cash play, I do want to shout out the Pub Sports Radio weekly contest. Right now, we have only 7 entries, which is way too low. I know it's a Wednesday, but we got Preston in there. What's up? What's up, Preston? How you doing? Enter to win $100. So if we get 200 entries, we get $200 for the winner. And then we have Clint down there. It looks like Clint put 5 units on Tai Tuivasa, which is
Whoa.
that'd be a crazy
wild
hit. That'd be a crazy hit. I'd like Tuivasa myself. I own about 5 units. So we'll see if Clint can hit that. But yeah, check out pubsportsradio.com. Free to enter. $100 the first, but if we can get this to $200, then it gets bumped up. If we get to do 200 entries, it bumps up to $200 there. And then also, if you have not liked already, be sure to like, and then of course subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. If you have any questions in the chat, put them in. I did star, I think 4 or 5 already, but we'll get to those questions very shortly here. All right, let's move on to our favorite cash play. I will kick us off. I'm going to go with one 9K guy we have not talked about, and it's going to be Manel Kape, 9,300. This is the guy I probably feel the best outside of Adesanya in terms about going out there and getting the win by any means necessary. This is a guy in Kape who I'm very high on. This is a guy that's top 10 guy with top 5 upside. He's taken on Felipe dos Santos, who was supposed to fight on the Contender Series, I think in week 2 or week 3. It's just a gigantic step up in competition for the 22-year-old and Felipe dos Santos. And you watch the tape on the guy, he does leave a lot to be desired. He's going to come forward. He's going to be fun, but he leaves a lot of openings to be hit. He has no takedown defense. I think Kape's just going to be better everywhere. I think Kape could even mix in takedowns here as well. And obviously the knockout will be there. So I like Manel Kape. I think he's pretty safe at 9,300. Weezy, who is your favorite cash play for this week?
Yeah, it's Kape as well. I'm not really even sure how he loses this fight. Manel's got almost a 90% finish rate and 18 pro wins. So he's definitely a safe, high upside option this week. I mean, I've got him parlayed, his money line parlayed. I've got a small stab on him to win by submission here. And yeah, I mean, like, I think Kape being the finisher that he is, the moment finder that he is, at that price, 9,300, with him being as big of a favorite as he is, it's really hard to avoid somebody that brings the kind of upside that Manel Kape does. And against a debutant opponent, on short notice. This is going to be a tough road to hoe for this Dos Santos kid.
Yeah, I'm very confident in Kape, but I'd be even more confident if they allowed him to wear shoes in the cage. That guy's very good in shoes.
Very good in shoes, dude. It's
Yes,
so funny when you see today's fighters actually wearing shoes in one of their matchups. Manel Kape's one of the few that we can actually see that, and it's wild.
Heck yeah. So I don't think they'll let him wear shoes, but I think he'll be fine without him. Monk, who is your favorite cash play for this week?
Yeah, it's going to be, I already talked about Adesanya. I don't want to pay for him. Nasrat's probably a good cash play, too expensive. I had Volkov in there just because he has extremely long legs and he likes to throw those middle kicks, which Tuivasa does not like. But it is definitely Manel Kape, 100%. The guy's put up over 100 points twice in his last 3. Like you guys said, Felipe Dos Santos, too much of a step, man. I think this kid has potential, but what is he, 22? I guess he'll be 23 on fight day on the 11th. I don't know when the card is because I'm a moron, but yeah, he'll be 23 in just a couple of days. So still too young. And Manel Kape just, if he's doing this to Dvorak and our guys Zalgas and Ode Osborne, he's only lost to the champ and Nicolau in his last 5 fights. So I consider those guys pretty top tier. For the most part in the flyweight division. So yeah, give me Kape. Should be a nice cash grab here at 9,300. Yeah, I like Kape.
All right, 3 for Kape. Gordo, who's your favorite cash play?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how our lineups are going to shape up because all 4 of us agree on our cash play. I am on Kape as well. So as I said, take some time to address a couple things. I know we'll talk about questions later, but Jack Jenkins over Fantasy Score, he was someone I was considering for a cash play. So that's the only reason I want to bring that up is because I do think that he is a pretty durable guy who has a pretty safe floor in this matchup. Should be a fun scrap. He has more finishing equity, and even in a loss, he can put up a pretty high score. Who's someone I like there. And then the big bet on Clint, good for him. He's been doing well this year. Only other 5-unit bets were on Song Yadong and Sean O'Malley. Trust your balls, baby. That's just what he says there too. So shout out to him for laying his money in the line. I certainly will not be doing the same with that amount of confidence, but shout out to him for being able to do so. I myself am much more confident in the like of Manel Kape, which is why he is my cash play and not Tai Tuivasa.
Sounds good. Looks like we're all on the same cash play, so our lineups may or may not be close. We'll see. All right, let's move on to our value play, and let's kick it to you first, Monk. Monk, who do you like for some value this week?
We know the chat's been talking about him, and we have yet to talk about him, so why not do it now? The man with 2 nicknames. What's better than 1 nickname? 2 fucking nicknames. Chepe, Machine Gun, Mariscal, against Jack Jenkins. I think this is going to be, this has potential to be a banger of a fight. Either way, personally, actually, I don't know, man. I really want to see Chepe win. I like Jack Jenkins. How do you not like a mustachioed Australian like that, especially fighting in his backyard? So I believe, somebody said, Daniel, you never fade the mustache. Never, ever. That's why we're on Miranda this week, and that's why we're on Mariscal this week. So yeah, 7,500 has a good chance of putting up decent value in a win here. Jack Jenkins, he's definitely got holes, as we saw against was it Emmers? Yeah, Jamal Emmers in his first one, or in his last fight, I should say. His first fight was against Don Shanis, who Sadiq, or who destroyed him. Somebody destroyed him in his first fight, and then Jenkins did the same thing. So I don't think we've seen Jenkins' full potential. I think we're going to see it more with Chepe here, and I'm really excited for this one. All that said, give me Chepe some decent possible value at 7,500.
We got Lou Betcha in the chat. Lou, I'm not ignoring you. I didn't see your first chat, but he says, Monk, cook up a bet for tomorrow with us for the Tyson Pedro fight. Does that mean that Lou's on the pleasure man?
Oh yeah, he's such a nut writer, dude.
He's
everybody knows this. Everybody knows this about Lou Betcha.
So the show tomorrow should be very exciting. I'm gonna tune in just for that breakdown. I think it's gonna be.
Now I'm gonna catch mad shit because I called him a nut writer. So I guess we live with our decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we'll see how that all shakes out tomorrow there. But yeah, we got Monk on Tyson Pedro and Lou on the pleasure man. For me, in terms of we're talking value play, right? I'm gonna go with a value play for cash games. So tournaments, I'm not playing it, but cash games, it's gonna be Sean Strickland, 6,500, just based off the fact that if you put Sean Strickland in your cash lineup, you can build any lineup you want. Like I could go up and get Manel Kape, Ulberg and like Tafa all in the same lineup. Do I think he wins? No, but do I think he can go into the third, fourth, fifth, and maybe even decision? Put up some volume, maybe mix in a takedown if he decides to wrestle. Yeah, I think he can do that. I think he has a decent floor. So yeah, give me Sean Strickland for a value play as far as cash goes. Weezy, who's your favorite value play this week?
Yeah, Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland scores 3.19 DraftKings points per minute. If this fight goes the distance, he scores 79.75 points in a decision loss. So if you don't think that Israel Adesanya is going to finish this guy, you're getting somebody who's going to go potentially 25 minutes instead of 15 at a very high pace. The guy walks forward. He stays behind his jab. These are the kind of strikers who pile up points quickly. I know Israel Adesanya is going to be difficult to find, but I don't think we're going to see somebody pressure Israel like we're going to see Sean Strickland pressure him. So, yeah, of course, Sean could walk onto something. Of course, he could get knocked out early, but he's a high-volume striker at 6,500. If it goes the full 25 minutes, that looks great. And then we always have the 0.1% chance that this man grows a fucking brain and wrestles. There is always that small chance that Sean Strickland does something that is actually good for his career and good for his lot in life instead of just riding around like a motorcycle, calling everybody pussies and sparring 73 rounds every single day. So, hey, anybody can change, you guys. This might be D1 Sean Strickland that goes in there and piles up 17 takedowns on his way to 247 DraftKings points. And then you guys are going to say, holy shit, Weezy called it. But yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But even if he doesn't wrestle at all, that high-paced pressure striking style he can pay off more than his salary if this fight just goes to decision and he loses.
Yep, for sure. That it's a very intriguing price tag. And then Gordo, who do you like for your value play this week?
Guys, Sean Strickland has a girlfriend. Anything is possible. He may change. Yeah. He may become a wrestler. Like the world has ended. I said in my video, man, if she's watching this, blink twice if you need help, man. Something. Let's put it that way. I don't want to dive back into any controversy here. We already have some beef with Monk and Lou, and I'm going to stay to the side of this one too. But value-wise, DraftKings, Tyson Pedro could look like hindsight value. Let's just put it that way. He is a much more physical guy here. He does have a huge, I think, technicality edge. And at 8K, every single one of these guys wins. This guy's wins has come in the first round. If it leaves the first round, he loses. So this guy is someone who has incredible upside to win this matchup against a guy who just is a cardio machine, super durable, but is going to be lacking in every aspect of MMA while Pedro is fresh. Now, of course, there's a chance that Turkalj can take over late. Of course, there's a chance that Pedro can fade. But early on in the fight, in that very first round, if he gets a win, it's going to look hindsight amazing because it's probably going to come dominantly. Turkalj isn't the best athlete, so Pedro is someone who is going to have that upside. Yes, it's not pleasurable. I like that comment. But Pedro is someone who is going to look like hindsight value if he wins this fight. It's going to have to come early. It's going to be a riskier one, but it's going to be valued at 8K if he wins.
Yeah, I think really either side could look value. Their 8,000, 8,200 matchup. I think the winner scores very well. Let's move on, though, to our dart throw here. We're going to kick it to Monk. Monk, who is your dart throw for UFC 293?
I think we already spoke about. Honestly, there's not a lot of dogs that I really like. Obviously, Weezy made a fantastic case for Strickland. I don't know about 247 points, but I do like him. I don't even know about the win, but I really do like him for cash games for sure. So there's obviously some dart throw on Sean Strickland, but I'll give you Gabriel Miranda. Best mustache on the card. Shout out to Daniel Covert. So yeah, 7,600 from Miranda. I think Shane Jung is probably terrible. Miranda fought Benoit Saint-Denis in his last one, and we all saw after last week what Benoit Saint-Denis is capable of, and that is everything apparently. So I don't put a lot of stock into that loss from Miranda at all. So yeah, he almost went as long as Thiago Moises did actually in that one, just over 5 minutes. So yeah, give me Gabriel Miranda 7,600. I think he'll be kind of low owned. So yeah, dart throw Miranda. Twist up the mustache. Twist it up.
Twist it up. I hope he's low, and I'm gonna have a ton of him. For me, there's 0 dart throws I like, but if I was forced to say a dart throw, I guess it would be Blood Diamond, 7,100. Weezy made a little bit of a case for him, and Racky's a guy that I think is way too big of a favorite. This is a guy that doesn't go out there and try to get as many takedowns as I really like to see, and I kind of have a feeling that Racky might strike with Blood Diamond here, and if he does that. This could look a little bit more competitive than these salaries do indicate. But yeah, if Racky does go for takedowns, get it down to the mat, I think he subs Diamond pretty easy. I think their jiu-jitsu is not even close. But my concern for Racky is if he goes out there and just kickboxes with this guy for 15 minutes, and that's the fight Blood Diamond wants. So give me Blood Diamond, but don't feel really great about any dart throw this week. Weezy, who's your dart throw for this week?
The good dart throw this week would be Landon Quinones. This guy's a pretty good fighter, man. He's well-rounded. He's got good striking. He's a southpaw. Taking this fight on short notice against Nasrat Haqparast, who was supposed to fight Sam Patterson on the Paris card. That fight got scrapped. They found him, Quinones, to fight in Australia. So, first of all, this isn't the first plan, for Haqparast. He was training for a different opponent in a different country. So now, instead of fighting in Paris on the 2nd, you're fighting in Sydney on the 9th. Big deal. Big change of plans here. Quinones has nothing to lose. This guy's coming off a triangle choke loss at the hands of Jason Knight on the Tough show. But Jason Knight's got a great guard, and he took Jason Knight down, and he wound up in that triangle. He doesn't have to worry about that from Nasrat Haqparast, okay? This is going to be interesting. He might be able to mix in some takedowns, Quinones. He's a good striker. I don't think he'll be horribly out of his depth here. I'm picking Haqparast to win the fight, but Quinones does have some power. He does have the ability to be able to mix in the wrestling. He's younger than Nasrat, not much, but he's a little bit younger too. And he could play spoiler here in Sydney. So I think that he's an interesting because he'll be next to 0% owned. And if he gets a win, man, that would be a huge leverage play for your lineup.
Yep, for sure. I think he'll probably be either the first or second lowest owned, probably between him or Felipe dos Santos there. And then Gordo, who is your dart there for this week?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's win condition down low as these, let's say, big underdogs scores pretty well. I mean, we mentioned Blood Diamond. I think Austen Lane's win condition scores very well as well. A guy we haven't mentioned, and a guy who I think loses at a very, very high clip is Jung, but someone who I think is a decent dart throw. I mean, he is a guy who's shown a capability to go out there and wrestle and fight later in these fights. And although he's someone who I see being outstruck, out physical, and losing these fights a lot of the time, he's also going to be a very, very unpopular play down low. I think you're going to get some good contrarian ownership. I think you're going to have the ability to have this mix up and takedowns. I think at 7K, his win condition scores very well. He's going to come low owned, but man, it's not pretty. I don't think it happens a lot of the time, but it's a way to get different.
Yep, definitely. Nasrat is 100% a lock. Sean, I mean, nothing is 100% a lock. Although I do think Nasrat wins, nothing is a lock in MMA. We've seen some ridiculous things happen, and if Haqparast lost, it wouldn't be the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. But we'll move on to the lineups for last week, and then we'll give our lineups for this week. I didn't miss anybody, right? I didn't think so. Okay, so the lineup for last week, we have in fourth, we have Monk. He had Jacqueline Cavalcanti, 80 DraftKings points. Angelusa, 115. Volkan, No Time. Uzdemir, 119. William Gomi, 69. We have Sergey Spivak 4, and then Kletzen Rodriguez 7. Monk scored 397.15. In third place, myself, Cavalcanti 80, Basharat 111, Uzdemir 119, Cornhole 73, Spivak 4, and McKee 33, scoring 424.32. In second place was Weezy, Farid Basharat 111, Charrier 110, Uzdemir 119, Cornhole 73, Spivak 4, and then Reese McKee 33. Scoring 453.97. And the first place is Gordo. You got Charrier 110, Uzdemir 119, Saint Denis 149, Gomi 69, Cornhole 73, and Spivak 4. Gordo scored 527.42. Congrats, Gordo. You had a pretty good lineup last week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take a win. The Frenchman in Paris, I won't complain about that. But I have to admit, guys, I got a little bit lucky here. Cornhole winning her matchup, Gomes getting a third round finish. I'll take the extra points. But no, it was a decent card. It was one where I'm happy to walk away with a win. And considering the lineup I'm looking at right now, I might need those insurance points from last week.
All right, we'll see. And then current standings for the year, it looks like we are 31 cards in for this year. So in fourth, we have Monk with 12,056. In third, we have Weezy with 12,378. Second, myself, 13,018. And then first place is Gordo, 13,135. I am 117 behind Gordo. Weezy is 757 behind Gordo, and then Monk is 1,079 behind Gordo. Gordo, congrats. 31 cards in. You are in first place. And it was close between me and you for like a couple weeks, but now you're up 117.
Hey, that could change on a dime. I will have to see how it goes for sure, but you never know, man. We've had some swings back and forth, and I wouldn't be surprised if I was looking up at you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll see how we line up this week for lineups, Gordo. We'll start with you, though. What is your lineup for this week?
We're going to go a bit different here. Stars and scrubs mentality, like I'm sure you guys have, but I'm not targeting a main event here, which is something that I typically like to do. So this is going to be interesting. But stars and scrub up top, we do have Manel Kape 9.3. We have Carlos Ulberg 9.2. And to keep it going, we have Charlie Radke 9.1. The scrubs of the lineup are Gabriel Miranda 7.6. Makdessi 7.3 and Tuivasa 7.4.
There we go. All right, so we're kind of different. Monk, what is your lineup for this week?
I will go Manel Kape, Carlos Ulberg, Justin Tafa. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on that, but for now it's Tafa, Tyson Pedro over the Pleasure Man, Gabriel Miranda, and Sean Strickland for to round things out. 49,600 this week.
We have four of the same, and then Weezy. I'll go first. I'm doing the same thing as you, Monk. I took Manel Kape up top, Tafa up top, and then Ulberg up top. Sean Strickland down low. Tuivasa down low, and then just for the fun of it, I'm gonna go with the Pleasure Man. 8,200, and we'll see if he can pleasure my lineup this Saturday. Weezy, what is your lineup for this week?
Don't you hate yourself every time you talk? Every time you say the word pleasure, don't you just sound like?
I love it, dude.
Don't you just feel gross?
No.
What do you call it when Anton gets when he gets sweaty? Moist pleasure. I mean, what are we talking about here?
I mean, I consider myself somebody who enjoys pleasure, so I'm on the side of the Swede here. I think he's trying to bring on a new era of the UFC, one where pleasure comes first instead of violence. So, hey, here we go. We're going to go with up top, Manel Kape, Carlos Ulberg, Justin Tafa, Anton, the Pleasure Man, Turkalj. Going with Gabriel Fly Miranda, Mustache Mafia, stand up. And then we got on the bottom, Sean Strickland, 6,500. It's a punt. I'm looking for 25 minutes out of that maniac. And I'm going to laugh my ass off when I have no money on him and he racks up 8 takedowns and like 14 minutes of control time on his way to becoming the UFC champion. And I will put my fist through a fucking wall when he does that, if he does that.
Wait, why will you put your fist through a wall?
Because I fucking picked him to do that against Pereira. And he went out there and he shot no takedowns. And he looked like a complete moron. Made me look like an asshole for saying that he was going to shave Pereira's ass. And then he's going to go out there on, getting a title shot that he doesn't deserve because Driscus wasn't ready. And now he's gonna go out there and actually wrestle this time. And I will be sitting there going plus 550. And now he fucking wrestles, and I will put my fist through a wall and you'll see me next week with a cast on this.
Oh my God.
Let's just go in on a piece of drywall, because if the Pleasure Man wins, I'm going to find that wall and I'm going to join you because I can never do this again. I'm too deep, guys. I'm too deep, but there's no coming back from this.
Oh man,
we will see. But let's get to some questions now, and then we'll give our quick picks and head out of here. We got B Gizzle G saying, guys, what are the bets? What are the bets, guys? I don't really have anything, so far this week outside of Manel Kape, inside the distance, and a shout out to Weezy for the sub sprinkle as well. But that's all I got thus far on a Wednesday. Weezy, Gordo, Monk, anything you guys like from a betting perspective?
I bet Anton Turkalj.
Yeah.
What?
What's the Miranda inside the distance line? What are we? That's the one I'm kind of drawn.
Oh, they're
to.
all over it. Like
right
the
off
round
the
one
bat.
for Miranda was like plus
I don't know
190.
about
It's
round
something
one,
terrible.
man, but
The under in that fight, under 2.5 in the Miranda Jung fight, minus 120. Under 2.5 is something I looked at. Definitely one where you do see violence implied there. I don't mind that one. I did end up betting Turkalj. I got him a couple of weeks ago at plus 120. So yeah, that's fine. Who cares?
Yeah,
We can hedge out if I want to.
Miranda inside is only plus 155, which I think that's like his money line, isn't it?
Isn't that? I
Yeah.
think that's the same as the money line.
Yeah, his money line's
That's
like plus
wild.
145. So I mean, they're all onto it. I mean, but Weezy, anything you want to add?
I've got the over 4.5 rounds in the Adesanya Strickland fight. I've got the Kape and Ulberg money lines parlayed. I did a small sprinkle on Manel Kape to win by submission, and I actually do have a half unit on Landon Quinones, the money line at plus 350. It's just a really wide line, and I'm actually pretty impressed by Quinones, but I still think Haqparast winds up getting his hand raised.
All right, so there's some bets for you there. This one can go. Did we talk about? Yeah, I think Monk, you talked about Chepe, right? You like him as a dog, huh?
a little bit. Yeah, I do. I do at 7,500. I think he defines the word dog. I mean, he looked good. I mean, yeah, it was Trevor Peak, guys. I'm trying not to get carried away, but man, he was looking to be in that fight all 3 rounds, and that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking for good DraftKings plays or good dogs in general. Someone that's going to fight. We hear this all the time. Is this guy going to fight for your money? I have a feeling the man with 2 nicknames, Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal, is going to fight for your money.
Certainly will. So we answered that. Yeah, Daniel, we're not going to get into Adesanya's extracurriculum activities, but there is some really disturbing stuff that has surfaced the last 24 hours, but we won't get into that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you haven't seen it? You haven't been on Twitter lately?
I haven't seen that.
I haven't.
No.
I
Let's
took
just
yesterday off.
it involves Adesanya and a dog, and I'll just leave it.
Okay. Well, say no more.
I thought that was Strickland being Strickland. I didn't know that was real.
No, I mean Adesanya was like saying something. I don't want to get into it, but it's pretty disturbing there.
Adesanya tends to not help himself out in these positions much, doesn't he? The
He's a
press
weird-
conference tomorrow is going to be
weird
pretty
guy.
entertaining.
And yeah, this press conference is going to be probably the most exciting press conference ever. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. Both
Sean mopped
Adesanya.
the floor with him in the first, and they weren't even fighting each other.
I'm more excited for the press conference than the fight, to be honest. It's going to be amazing. But let's give this one to Gordo. You talked about this one, right? The Jenkins.
I didn't talk too much about the fantasy score, but he is someone who I think has a really high floor. His ceiling is something that's definitely in question, and I think he does have the possibility to go over that fantasy score. However, he's not someone who I see to be the most potent finisher at all times. Chepe has been finishing a few bouts, so of course that possibility is there to land the over. But truly, we could have ourselves a fun 15-minute affair that doesn't have the highest of scoring abilities, which is why we haven't really mentioned him too much. There is a world where we see some fun scrambles, we see some exciting exchanges on the feet, and we see some leg kicks, which is what Jenkins wants to do, and his scores under. However, I do think he has potential finish upside. It's just not a line I want to trust considering the possibility of outcomes we have.
And then we'll answer 2 more here. This one can go to Weezy. Does Tuivasa and Diamond have a better chance since it's in Australia? The at-home fighters have been winning lately. Tough finding dogs. Yeah, like Canada comes to mind. We just saw France last week. So these hometown fighters have been coming through. Weezy, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, but the home field advantage in Australia is different than anywhere else around the world because it's not close to anything, right? I mean, like no matter where in the world you're coming from, if you're going to Australia, it's far. It's really far. And they talk about it about okay, when us Americans go to Europe, and they're 7 hours ahead, it's a little bit easier to deal going ahead in time than it is going back in time. And you go back in time when you fly west, right? And that's what you have to do in order to get to Australia from America, or even from Europe. You're just going east, but you're going to the northern hemisphere, to the south. You're going east. It's so far from everything that the home field advantage in Australia means more, in my opinion, than it does in any other country, because of how difficult it is to get there and how far it is for most people. So, yeah, and we had no underdogs cash last weekend. So you might want to take a shot on a Blood Diamond, a local fighter, a Tai Tuivasa, a local fighter. You know, these guys that are local fighters, they're going to have an advantage when somebody's flying from America or Europe to get to Australia.
Yep, really good breakdown there, Weezy. And then last question from Daniel, saying thoughts on a Strickland sub, which, by the way, it's plus 2,500.
Juicy. Are we hoping that Sean Strickland wrestles?
He
Yeah, you're probably going to be tearing up that ticket. You're probably going to be tearing up that ticket because Sean Strickland has no regard for his own safety, so he probably won't wrestle much. But if he does, it's probably going to be live. And even if he gets like 2 or 3 takedowns, that's a ticket that, whether it cashes or not, it's a good bet. But we'll see if he gets them.
How did the UFC let him spar a random?
How
did this happen, dude?
That was funny.
We got guys like in football and basketball that can't even own motorcycles. It's in their contract. And this dude's out here sparring fans, dude.
He's different. He's different.
Yes.
The guy clearly didn't pose much of a risk, but still, that's wild.
Yeah, it is. It is wild for sure. He had to pick out like the right guy, because you can't afford getting hit clean before a fight. But I say we get into our quick picks real quick. We'll kick it off to our Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, do you have your quick picks for this week?
Yeah, I haven't even done just the tip this week yet, so I don't actually have everything in Tapology, but I will give you, to the best of my ability, these picks. I'm going to go Israel Adesanya by decision, Alexander Volkov by decision, Manel Kape by first round submission, Justin Tafa first round knockout. The Pedro Turkalj fight is so hard. I'm going to go with Turkalj by decision. I'll go Carlos Ulberg first round knockout, Jack Jenkins by decision. John Makdessi by decision.
I don't mind it.
Nasrat Haqparast decision. Charlie Radke decision. Shane Jung decision, and Kevin Jusset decision.
What is up, Stacks? Missed the show. Yeah, go for a rewatch. I think it's been a pretty good show thus far, I think. Gordo, it has been a great show. Gordo, what are your quick picks for this week?
Oh, damn, did he freeze?
Oh no.
All right, let's dive into. Oh, what happened?
Are you back?
You're back.
Did I lag
Maybe.
out there?
Talk
Fun
about
stuff.
Gordo.
All right.
All right, you're good.
Weird one in the main event. I will take Adesanya by decision here. I'll take Tuivasa by round 2 KO. Give me Manel Kape by round 1 KO. Give me Justin Tafa by, guess what? Another round 1 KO. Let's give me Anton Turkalj, sponsored by Trojan, round 3 finish. Give me Carlos Ulberg, round 1 finish. Jenkins decision. Mullarkey decision. Haqparast decision. Charlie Radke, round 2 submission. Gabriel Miranda, round 1 submission. And Kevin Jusset decision.
All right. Give me Adesanya decision in the main event. I will take Tai Tuivasa by knockout in the co-main event. Manel Kape by knockout. Justin Tafa by knockout. Anton Turkalj by pleasure. Carlos Ulberg by knockout. Jack Jenkins decision. Makdessi decision. Haqparast decision. Radke sub. Jung KO. And you say probably a decision. Monk, what are your quick picks for this week?
I'll take Kiefer Crosby to beat Juicy Smollett by decision. We'll take Gabriel Miranda by decision. Chuck Buffalo by decision over Blood Diamond. By the way, That's clearly the best nickname fight on the entire card. Nasrat Haqparast decision. We'll go Mullarkey by decision. Man, I'm gonna pick Mariscal by decision. We're gonna go Ulberg. Round 1 KO TKO. We're gonna go Pedro. Round 1 KO TKO. It's time for the pleasure to take a rest. Justin Tafa by finish. We'll go Manel Kape decision. We'll go Alexander Volkov. How about second round submission? How's that sound? And then we'll finish things off. Sean Strickland. Just kidding. Israel Adesanya by decision. Let's go.
We got Gizzle saying, can you guys do a live show on Saturday? I think they do. I mean, every Saturday for the past like 3 or 4 years. So it'll be there.
I think they want us to do it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
After 7, I'll get in. Or after 8 Central. After 8 Central, I could hop in. I work Saturdays, so.
I usually am. I'm still in school, so I'm usually studying during the fights to the best of my abilities. But we'll see. Maybe we'll make it out to one.
For sure. All right. Let's kick it around. Weezy, you are going live in 50 minutes. Tell the people about Just a Tip.
Just a Tip with Uncle Weezy. Going to break down all 11 of these fights from a stats and tape study perspective. I'm going to give you my track bets. Finish with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Find out who's going to go out there and win violently this week. And then that's going to be about it for the week for me. 3 fantasy football drafts in the last 7 days for me. So it's been a wild week, but looking forward to getting the show done tonight. And then just enjoying these fights on Saturday and enjoying some football on Sunday. And then after football, come right back here to Pub Sports Radio, where me and Brady will be doing Stat Diggers, 6:15 Central Time, like we always do. Hey, we got to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 293 and bathe in the blood of our vanquished Draftkings enemies. Let's go.
We got B Gizzle saying can't read Bree. I think he meant bro. Reading's easy. My eyes are like hurt so bad. I've been like staring at a screen in like the dark all day on my walking treadmill desk. So I you're right. I can't really see right now. I probably should
picture of the pleasure man off your screen, and maybe you'll get some stuff done.
So my bad, Gizzle. Hopefully my eyes are rested for next show so I can read properly. But he was asking, are we going to show up on the Saturday live? We'll see.
I'll be there.
Weezy will be there for sure. I will see what I have going on. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. But sorry about the confusion there. B Gizzle G. Monk, tell the people where they can find you and what your plans are.
Well, I've been like lazy or procrastinating this week, so game theory is not done yet. It will be finished tonight, probably out on YouTube tomorrow. And then tomorrow we got a busy day. A couple of shows, nickname show at 9 p.m. Central, and then Monk and Lou's happy hour, which you probably shouldn't miss this week because he is a full-on pleasure man himself. So he's a pleasure. What do you guys call yourselves? Pleasurers? The pleasure men? What do you like to be called?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Pleasure Men. I think is a
Pleasure
great,
Men. That's
great,
got a nice
like
indie
if we were to start a
rock
fan
band.
club,
Yeah,
we could call ourselves the Pleasure Men.
That's right.
Although we probably have a lot of women trying to join our club.
I'm sure that would be the main problem.
They like that man too. That's why he had to learn how to fight. He had to fight off all these dudes whose girlfriends he was stealing.
And Kim Winslow.
Yeah, sponsored by European headbands, that Anton Turkalj. So yeah, I don't even know what I was talking about. Just watch all my shit, watch all these guys' shit, and let's try to enjoy this card. Hopefully, this card will be better better in person. You know what I'm saying? It kind of sucks on paper. Let's hope the pay-per-view adds a little bit more to it. So I'm looking forward to this one now.
Sounds good. Last but not least, Gordo, tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, it is the start of the NFL season, so I wish everybody the best of luck there. I've done way too many best ball drafts and regular fantasy leagues, but I'm hype, man. I am ready for it, and I wish everyone the best of luck doing that as well. In terms of my content, it is out live on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I've been fortunate enough to have some decent Dana White Contender Series success, which is also live on that channel every Monday night after the Bills take home a nice little Monday Night Football win there, as well as the rest of my full card breakdowns, which is on that Plays and Fades Sports on YouTube, as well as all my Twitter picks and bets on Gambles Gordo on Twitter. Wish everybody the best of luck, guys. Let's make some money.
Perfect. Let's do it. If you guys could, again, leave a like on your way out. Subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio, and best of luck, everybody, for Brady, do you like any NFL dogs this weekend? I kind of retired from NFL. Gordo probably knows a lot more than I do. Gordo, any dogs for NFL sticking out?
There's a few that are going to be barking this week, whether that be, I think Tennessee spreads there. I don't know where the line is on the Bears game, but a lot of like it's week 1, so we have to gather a lot of data before going out there. I highly recommend Lou's and Wiz's show, NFL Bell. Feel free to check that out. I just finished watching it. I watched all but the Bills breakdowns. Hopefully, that's good things for me. That's a very fun show. I like to go watch it. Go check that out. But it should be a good a week. And in terms of dogs to like, I'll leave that to Israel Adesanya.
Wow.
Ooh.
Damn.
Wow.
That was ruthless. That was awesome, dude.
That caught me off guard a little bit. I think that was a great way to end the show. And I think, yep. Good night, everybody.